Of your program. So wherever you're watching, thank you very much for following this program always. And I am Ibrahim Balde. I am with Julde Njai. Good morning, Julde.
Good morning, Ibrahim.
How are you?
I am doing well.
Good. How is everything? How's work? How's gathering news and also presenting news on the screen? You know, I watched you present. Is it this week?
Yes.
This week?
Yeah, on Tuesday and on
yes,
Wednesday.
Yes. It was really nice seeing Julde in front of the screen. I mean,
Thank
amazing.
you.
She looks beautiful. Always.
Mashallah, thank you.
Yes.
Now you have me blushing.
Exactly. Yeah, so we have Mr. Ade Drame. Mr. Ade,
Yes.
you are rocking your haftan. What color is that?
I am. I'm not sure what
Is
this
it
color
reddish
is.
brown?
Kind of, no,
Should
it's
we
a
call
sort
it
of
reddish
orangey
brown?
something. It's a kind of
Orange.
blood orange, I think.
Yeah.
it's
Blood
called.
orange. Are you into blood money or something, Mr. Ade?
Probably.
I don't trust you.
You
I'm trying to.
you
I'm not
shouldn't-
trusting you
You
now.
shouldn't trust me. You shouldn't trust me. But I'm glad to say that today I am here as myself.
Oh,
I am not. I'm
You
not
are on the
Ibrahim
paper.
Balde. I'm not Mamadou Mboj. I am Ade Darami today.
Ade Darame.
Okay.
Yes.
You are on the paper.
Because there are times when I'm somebody else, but today I'm myself.
Yeah, so it's good to be yourself. Be yourself.
For a change.
Yes. So we'll take a look at the African code. From the code, we will be looking at MDI transforms into civic service.
Civil service.
Oh, who
Yeah.
said civic?
It should be civil service.
Civil Service
University.
University.
Yeah.
And we will also be talking to the head of department, business studies, and the PRO as well. So Pulondau will be here, head of department diplomacy and international relations at the Civil Service University. So they will be here. And we will be talking to the Minister, Habibatu Drame, Minister of Basic and Secondary Education, on junior school, to halt graduations. And Minister, we should engage her on a couple of things.
Yes.
Graduation,
Yes.
artist performance.
Yeah.
Remember a few months back, they halted that as well. And of course, we'll also be talking to her about students begging in the streets.
Yeah, it's,
You know.
in fact, we had planned to speak to her about those things for a news item anyway.
Okay.
So,
Anyway,
yeah, so
yeah.
it'd be good to engage
So,
her.
yes.
Because
Yeah, and
a
even
different
under
audience might hear.
national language policy, you know,
Absolutely.
they introduced that.
So it will be important for us to engage her. Julia, let's deal with the African code.
So our African code this morning reads, "The wind that bends the grass cannot break the roots beneath."
The wind that bends the grass, cannot break the roots beneath. Yeah, so Mr. Adedrame, can you dive in first?
Yes.
That's an interesting one.
It's an interesting one to say the least. I guess it's about being anchored in, solidarity. So sometimes what you see on the surface isn't all there is to anything.
Right.
Something that holds. So the grass might bend, but because it's solid and it's anchored in something solid underneath the ground, it might bend, but it probably won't be swept away.
Right.
So if you have a firm foundation, whether it's education or something, then, that is the thing that will anchor you in your profession, in your life, or whatever. And it might also be something like you have strong belief, your faith. You have a strong faith,
Yeah.
and your faith can, anchor you and solidify you, and even define, how you live your life, how you treat other people. Other things might come that might sway you, but you have something that you hold on to, or that is holding you down. And that thing, is the thing that anchors you and gives you strength. And I don't mean physical strength, but just kind of mental and spiritual strength.
So that
Yeah.
thing that
there are many
might-
ways to interpret
That
it.
thing that might be holding you might be your foundation. Maybe from, where you're from.
Parental guidance.
Yes.
They might have guided you well
Yeah.
in your early years. And a number of things. I think this one is one of those you can interpret it in 100 different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Julde?
Yeah, just like what Mr. Ade said, external pressure, sometimes may bend you, may also force you to actually face difficult situations, but that doesn't mean that it's going to break you entirely as a human being. All of us, you know, we face challenges here and there, and sometimes we're confronted with situations that we're like, okay, that a lot of people think that those situations will actually break you, but they end up making you because of how solid your foundation is as an individual, because you must have gone through something more, you know, worse than what you're really facing currently. So I think it's very important to actually be solid. The foundation, once it is solid, people can shake it, people can, you know, it can bend, people will do stuff, but again, at the end of the day, nothing happens. You know, it's just at the moment that things happen. But once it's past, nothing happens. Then you remain who you are. So it's very important for someone to have values, to have principles. Once you have that, and those things are really embedded in you, it's very difficult to break those things, because then it means, you know, that is like your core. You know, sometimes a lot of things happen and they're like, okay, that's over for this person. You know, that this person will never get out of this situation. But all of a sudden, you see them, you know, emerge into something greater and better, because their foundation is actually solid.
Nelson Mandela was jailed for 26 or 27 years.
27 years.
27.
You know, but it didn't break him. I mean, when he left prison, he even became stronger.
And you have people who haven't been in prison for 27 seconds saying he was a sellout when he came out.
So
they can't even, they wouldn't put up with that for 27 seconds.
Whatever you do,
years.
foundation is important, persistence, you know. In life, you have to go through so many challenges, but you have to prepare yourself for those challenges. They will always come, you understand? Even the best of people have gone through these challenges.
Breakdowns,
so life will teach you. You know what is more important, Julde? How are you going to put yourself together after the challenge?
Exactly.
You understand?
That is very important.
So that is the most important thing.
Will you allow the situation, the current situation, to break you or make you? What are you learning from that? It happens a lot, you know, especially with people who are emotional. You know, when things happen, they tend to be very, very emotional. People like me, we're very, very emotional people.
It can happen to any of us. Depends on the situation.
Exactly. Once it passed, you know, and I look at all the pros, the cons, and everything, I realize, okay, this is not enough to break me. You know, I am stronger than this situation, and I've gone through some things far worse than this, and it does not break me. Why will I let anything of this to break me? So it shows that whatever the situation is, don't let it break you.
Yeah, and you know, like we said, the wind that's mentioned here, these are the tests. That the things that try and sway you from your path. But the thing that will hold you down, that will anchor you down, and they're all the things we talked about. It's your education, it's your upbringing, it's your faith. Whatever it is, there's so many things that hold you down and hold you in place, that you're not swayed by what is the passing winds of problems, troubles, whatever they may be. They'll come, they'll test you, yes, and you know, the fact that you stand strong and you emerge stronger is because you have these things that hold you down, that anchor you.
So I think we've exhausted that, the proverb, so we'll take a short break, Julia, isn't
But before the break, I have something to present
to
someone.
Oh, wow.
Okay,
What are you presenting?
So I'm presenting this.
Who is receiving this?
A very special someone.
Oh, wow, nice.
Who has done so much as far as animal welfare is concerned, raising awareness, you know, engaging stakeholders in the animal welfare.
Who could that be?
Who is this person?
Who is this individual?
Because I want you to convince me that this person deserves this. So please,
really
either you or the
deserves
person.
The person really deserves this.
Okay.
Because the person has been really played a key role as far as animal welfare advocacy is concerned in the Gambia. So this person is no other than our very own
Mr. Weltare.
Ibrahima Balde.
Oh, wow.
So this, I am presenting this on behalf of the Animal Welfare Advocates Association of the Gambia in recognition of your, you know, deep appreciation and acknowledgement for your significant contributions towards advancing animal welfare in the Gambia.
Julia, I appreciate this so much. Animal welfare, thank you very much. I have received my award.
Right.
Thank you. You know, I've
So-
not received awards
so-
for a long time.
Okay, now
The last time I received an award,
was at school.
no, 2015.
Okay. it's not
Okay.
that
I
long.
received award for the
11.
Employee of the Year, QCell
Okay.
Marketing.
Oh.
Yes, but this is my second
Okay,
award.
now
Award.
you've received this award.
Yes.
Please tell the viewers
Yeah.
what you've done to deserve this award.
Well, for me, my area is more of visibility. You understand? So whatever the experts do, I have to provide visibility.
Okay.
Nice.
Whether as my capacity as an individual, or I use my platforms, QTV This Morning, or any other place, or even
This morning,
Weltare.
Weltare. I was
Even
going to say,
Weltare.
why have you not
even on
mentioned Weltare?
even on
Yeah.
Weltare.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I keep providing visibility, and also, you know, trying to inspire people to follow and make sure
Right.
animal welfare is handled well, because
Right.
we are living here alongside with the
Exactly.
animals. So
These people always get good coverage on our news thanks to Babu Kasise. So if they do not give Babu Kasise
An
an
award.
award, then something is
Yeah,
terribly
so
wrong.
Yeah,
thank you.
maybe we are the people who are directly
Using.
linked or connected to them.
thank you,
So,
animal
yeah.
welfare.
But Babu
Thank you
Kasise,
very
kudos
much.
to you.
I appreciate it so much, and you know, let's keep doing the work. Let's
Yeah.
keep pushing.
Right.
Yes, thank you, Julde. Thank you for
And
receiving this award.
congratulations.
Thank you very
And
much. Thank you.
congratulations.
Yes,
and
thank
keep
you,
on,
Mr. Ade.
keep on raising
So
awareness.
today this
Yeah.
award will be here for the end to the rest of
Yes,
the program.
why
It's our
not?
award. And I'm presenting it to Eliza and Therese as well. You know, Mam Sengom, you know,
And-
Yeah,
to
I found-
the director, everybody, to QTV.
Eliza and Therese are happy right now because we're coming to the end of Lent.
Oh,
You know, it's
Oh,
tomorrow is
yeah.
Good Friday,
oh,
and
wow.
then it's Easter.
Oh, you are Good Friday. Is the Nanburu Friday?
Tomorrow, Good Friday.
Oh, it's the Nanburu Friday. Okay.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
just hope that
So
a lot of
no need to mention
Christians
Terence, you know
families
what I
are
mean.
upholding that Nanburu tradition.
You know what I
since
mean.
Since I've been here, I've noticed that a lot of them are. I mean, I only became aware of it here. We don't have it in Sierra Leone. But since
okay.
I've been in the Gambia, absolutely every year.
Yeah.
Every year.
They bring Nanburu.
Yeah, and the people bring to the office.
Yes.
Do you
So
want me to-
let's talk about the case of Usainu Bojang, as it's the hot cake in town. Usainu is released alongside with his sister, and they are back to Brufut at their residence. I mean, family, friends, and loved ones came to cheer and show their happiness and appreciation.
And just people who don't even know them, because
And
there were
people who
hundreds
don't
there.
even
I'm
know
sure
them.
they weren't.
You know
all
what it reminds
known
me?
to-
Gambia, we are one. Once you touch one person, it's like you touch the whole nation.
It's, you know, it was an interesting case because you had people there protesting about the fact that immediately after they were acquitted and discharged, they were rearrested. But in all the comments, I saw somebody post something, and we actually mentioned it in our report. Yes, he's been found not guilty and he's been acquitted and discharged, but it still means that whoever killed those people, therefore, is still at large. And we shouldn't remember that 2 people lost their lives. So yes, whilst people are celebrating that this particular individual has been freed, it then begs the question, well, who then did kill those 2 people and where is that person? Because as we've said, yes, the government is appealing this case, but if I can use layman's language, the case they presented was rubbish. I mean, they issued a press release trying to explain why they were appealing. And if I was Justice Jaite, I would be insulted by this, because essentially they're claiming that he doesn't know what he's doing in interpreting their evidence. And frankly, the evidence was poor. Halfway into the case, your man in the street who's never had or gone to law school would have said they've lost this case.
Exactly.
Many of us were saying, why is it dragging on?
Yeah.
Everything they brought out, they could not prove
Proof, yeah.
beyond reasonable doubt.
Ouch.
They could not prove at all. And when he gave his judgment, he dismantled their case. So when people heard that they were appealing, they were like, on what grounds?
For me,
Yeah.
the rearrest, I mean, why the rearrest again after being acquitted and discharged?
Discharge.
Acquitted,
Yeah.
discharged, granted bail. They met the bail conditions. They should have been released. So, as I said, the global thing is, so everybody's looking forward to see what's going to happen
Next.
if they proceed with the appeal. Because what grounds are you going to appeal when Justice Jaite was so definitive in saying you simply did not prove your case? You bring he doesn't have to prove he's innocent. You charged him. You have to prove he's guilty.
Yeah.
They failed to do it, big time.
If you can't prove it, there is no case, my friend.
Yeah.
You know?
So
Obviously.
yeah, you know, people were sort of celebrating, jubilating, and
But why the rearrest again and then release them again?
there's no, that one we don't know, because you know, in fact, I had commented on one of the forums, maybe they just called them in for questioning or whatever, but we don't know. That's for Ministry of Justice or the police or whomever to explain to us why.
We've also seen the youth at Brufut, you know, cheering. I mean, when Mama Kandeh visited, you know, at least to maybe console with solidarity, you know, they chased him away.
Some of them did.
Yeah,
then later they engaged with him.
Yeah, but I think it was important for them to listen to Mama Kandeh, no matter what. Mama is a statesman. At the same time, you know,
think
a figure.
I think
argument
part of it was people don't want people to make political capital out of it. And so when you get a politician getting involved, then, you know, are they getting involved because they genuinely want to sympathize and empathize, or is it because they think there's a political opportunity to be gained by being seen to show solidarity with the youth, which kind of is what he said. You know, he said, you are the leaders of tomorrow, and you know, we need to listen to you, and that's why I'm here. So yeah, I mean, I saw the full clip of when people eventually did engage with him, and he explained why he was there. But yeah, I mean, because the thing is, he's entitled as any other Gambian to be there. You know, you people who organize the protests, you don't own Gambia. You can't tell people, go away, you don't belong. Who the hell are you? If somebody did that to you, you'd be upset, and yet you think you can tell somebody, you know, go here, we don't want you. Who elected you to make that kind of decision? He had every right to be there if he wanted to be there. So, yeah.
True. So let's talk about the protest bit where police were firing tear gas, water cannons on.
They'd even started firing tear gas before the protest started. And, you know, we talk in this country about security sector reform. And I think this is a case that they will probably use as a defining case to look at, because some people were saying that they were angry because the 2 people killed were their fellow police officers. You do not react to a public situation with anger based on that sort of thing. Your professionalism is what should guide you. You know, people were chanting, they were boisterous, but they weren't violent. So I saw no reason for why tear gas was fired. People were wounded. Totally unnecessary. It was a complete overreaction to what was going on.
I had an argument with one security officer yesterday, and he was like, you know, these were based on orders, and he was like, you know, we are allowed to use reasonable force. I was like, what is reasonable force to you? Wounding a 6-year-old, firing tear gas at a 6-month-old baby, is that reasonable force? Wounding others, ensuring that others are hospitalized, is that reasonable force? You know, I think security personnel are taught on crisis management when things like this happen. I was like, okay, civilians might not undergo, you know, rigorous trainings just like you have. They don't know how to do crisis management. But I want to believe that you had undergone that training and you know how to manage crisis when issues of this arise. But it seems like civilians are even doing it better than those that are trained.
You should have asked that official whether he had read beneath where it says use of reasonable force. Was there a threat to yourself or to public order?
Exactly.
If there was not, then why were you using reasonable force to do what? That thing doesn't exist on its own, the right to use reasonable force. It explains circumstances where you are entitled to. And I'm sorry, people walking down the street chanting, it certainly was not a thing. You wanted to disperse them, and yeah, you can be honest and say that's what you wanted to do. But in terms of we can use reasonable force, yeah, we know the law allows you to, but the law also says where, when, and how. What is the situation that allows you to do that?
Right.
And that situation simply did not exist.
Exactly.
They were not about to attack anybody. They were not about to attack the public or police officers. They were simply holding up placards and chanting. Sorry, where's the threat that required tear gas? Complete overreaction, and we thought those days were behind us. This was, honestly, without being exaggerating or being hyperbolic, it felt like we were back in the bad old days.
It's the capacity.
It really felt
training.
like that yesterday.
I mean, training, it's important
and we
for
need
the
to
security
stamp on
forces. And, you know, this, when we talk about training, it's not just only going and talking, but, I mean, how to act in certain situations. You see, situations can vary. I mean, some can be, some might need force, some doesn't even.
And just to kind of pick a bone with the standard, Brufut rocked by violent protest as native Usainu Bojang returns home. It wasn't a violent protest. What happened was people were marching. We have the videos. I'm not making it up. People can go online, they can watch it. And our cameraman Koka was there. He filmed the whole thing. It wasn't a violent protest. It was a protest, yes, but it wasn't violent.
Violent, yeah.
The only violence came when tear gas was fired and people were wounded from there. Not a single police officer got a scratch on him or her. Not one. What was the violent protest? So, Mr. Editor, no, it wasn't a violent
I think the security forces, I mean, they should look deep into some of the way they carry out their, I mean, activities. It's important. I mean, the case of Mandinaring is still hanging in the balance. I mean, nobody knows how it's going to go at the end of the time. So that also involves police officers as well. So I think the authorities need to look into that.
Right.
I mean, one of the sensible things they did yesterday, the authorities, was that it had been, there was a flyer that was sent around saying that there was going to be a press conference addressing why the government was appealing. And I think everybody is glad that common sense prevailed and they cancelled that press conference, because it would have been explosive and it would also been inappropriate. You are challenging it in court. Make your case in court.
Well,
Don't come to a press.
I saw
you know.
Sisao made a short video on, informing the public that the Oman have been released. I mean, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the time.
No, that was appropriate because really the tear gassing was happening as they were being released. So if you were protesting about their continued incarceration, there was no need to protest anymore. They had been released. So stop. So that was appropriate for him to release that. So nothing inappropriate about it.
That should have been avoided at the initial stage.
No, that's a different thing. But it had not been avoided. But as it had happened, in fact, we said in our report, at the same time as people were being tear gassed, the siblings were being released. So, you know, the reason for you being there and protesting that they should be released was no longer there. So stop.
Do we have to live like this as a country, whereby we have to use force before?
No, we have to learn from things. We have to learn from things. We have to learn from this. Both those who are protesting and those who are meant to be upholding and enforcing the law. We have to learn from it. And that's why I said this should be like a test case scenario that they should own.
But it's not the first time.
Huh?
This is not the first time.
I know it's not the first time, but you know, nobody's ever too old to learn. So you know, we have to learn from it.
Well, there is one thing that I am happy about is, I mean, things are changing. It's transforming gradually. We understand.
It didn't feel like that yesterday.
During,
I'm sorry to say.
During the rules of Yahya Jammeh, you have no mind, I mean, to do such kind of a thing. But now, at least, you know, power. We are showing power belongs to the people. At some point, what the people want, that's what's going to happen, according to the law.
Yeah, there should be proper checks and balances, which I think to some extent has been, because the independence of the judiciary has been tested over and over again. And this is not the first time the state is losing a case. So I don't know why this one is different.
Yeah.
Perhaps people argue that this is a high-profile case and all of that. It involves the death of 2 PIU officers and all of that.
And
But
in
again,
fact, what you just said, if I don't like to read from press releases, so I'll read just a single paragraph from the government's press release dated 1st of April. It says, the government of the Gambia, through the Office of the Attorney General, respects the independence of the judiciary and the right of every court to deliver judgment according to its assessment of the evidence and the law. At the same time, the government owes a solemn duty to the families of the fallen officers, to the surviving officer, and to the people of the Gambia to ensure that legal process is pursued to its fullest extent where legitimate grounds exist to do so. And so it goes on to say, having carefully reviewed the judgment, the Chambers is dissatisfied, that's Attorney General's Chambers, is dissatisfied with the judgment, particularly in the trial court's evaluation of the evidence and the conclusion reached. As I said, you did not have to be Justice Jaite to know that these people had not proved their case. I'm sorry. So, like I said, if Justice Jaite reads this, he will feel insulted by it. Really, and rightly so.
So you are telling him plain blank, you don't know.
You don't know how to evaluate evidence. What evidence was he to evaluate that made your case?
Yeah.
What evidence?
Maybe it's the SU.
What evidence made their
The
case?
SU is an evidence.
it doesn't
Anybody
fit the
who
guy.
followed that trial, I dare you, contact us right now when we're live on and tell us what evidence they presented that helped their case.
But there was, I mean, I had an information that Usainu confessed to you, I mean, at the initial.
Yeah,
That's what
but
they call hearsay.
here,
Yeah.
no, you
But
can.
there is no proof.
Where's
Yeah,
the
you
proof?
you can actually confess to a crime. Then you know when once
can
you
recant.
go to, yeah, you can disregard it.
You can
Like
recant.
the you and the law segment we had here. You know, once someone proved that admitted that they are guilty, doesn't necessarily mean that they are guilty.
No.
They have to prove beyond reasonable doubt.
To a court.
Yes, that they are guilty.
And in cases
or
where you have a jury, you have to
otherwise.
convince
Right.
the jury.
Right.
Not just the confession
yeah,
alone.
exactly.
Is, you know,
You have to convince the jury.
is there evidence to support that confession?
Right.
Is there forensic evidence? Is there visual evidence? Did witnesses identify the person at the scene of the crime, at the time of the crime? All of these things.
Yeah.
So for them to say that he didn't, I'd love to know what evidence they claim he didn't
because there are
properly
witnesses
evaluate.
that can even confess to a crime
completely
because
perplexed.
of the interrogation. At some point,
we
you know,
know
I saw a documentary like that where a guy confessed to killing someone. You understand? Then he was sent to jail. But later, the guy that did the real killing returned and said, no, he was not the person.
Yes, I watched a film
all
called
those things happen.
Everly, starring Salma Hayek, and there's a guy there, a Japanese guy. He said, "When you torture people, that's when you get the truth." But it's not necessarily true, because I might confess just because I want you to stop torturing me.
Right.
You know. So yeah, but I saw that film only on Sunday actually, so it was quite.
Yeah. So let's move on.
Yeah.
Miss Are, I'll mention this.
Yeah.
Do you realize Michael Jackson is coming back?
You
Really?
mean-
They are using Jafar Jackson. I mean, the son
The-
of Jamin Jackson.
Yes.
Hollywood is trying to do something that is going to wow the whole world again.
And
the
it's
guy
in-
looks like Michael Jackson.
And well, he looks like how Michael Jackson looked after he'd had several skin lightening procedures. But Michael Jackson didn't look like that when he first started,
Yeah.
when he was black.
Now let's move on. MDI transforms into Civil Service University. It's important for us to talk about this, and we have Silla Konate, Head of Department, Business Studies at PRO, Civil Service University, and Pulo Ndaunjai, Head of Department, Diplomacy and International Relations, Civil Service University. Gentlemen and lady, it's good to have you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Good morning to you and beautiful viewers.
Yes.
Thank you.
So it will be important for us to understand why the transformation.
Right.
Thank you very much. First of all, we'd like to express our appreciation to the board and management of QTV for inviting us to come and share our story and our updates with the entire Gambian population. With me, like you've already introduced, is my colleague, Ajaratu Pulon Daunjai. She is the head of the Department of Diplomacy and International Relations. And we are going to give a little overview in terms of the history of the MDI that is transformed into Civil Service University. As you may be aware, the Management Development Institute, MDI, was established by an Act of Parliament in 1982. But it started its full operations in 1984 with the sole mandate of providing training, research and consultancy to public, private as well as non-governmental sectors of the Gambia. And for the past 44 years, this is what we have been doing principally, and we've done it very well also. But there is a little history, there is a great history also behind the setting up of MDI. Just like in other, African countries also and beyond. Shortly after independence, during independence, our public service was dominated and controlled by the colonialists, and that with the attainment of independence by these African countries, most of them started setting up MDIs in their countries to provide this mandate that I have highlighted. Because the issue is that as the colonialists exited, then there became a shortage, acute shortage of trained manpower that will definitely take charge of the destiny of these public services. So as a matter of fact, these MDIs were set up to provide leadership, management training, and other areas to kind of develop the managerial capacities of the public servants that would now be taking care of these countries. So that is a principal reason for the setting up of MDI. And like I said, since its establishment up to 2024, we have really fulfilled this mandate because we have contributed greatly in terms of developing the capacity of Gambians and beyond. Since its establishment, it was involved in providing short-term training programs, 1 week, 2 weeks, in different areas: project management, leadership, customer care, gender and development. And immediately shortly after, then they also started doing the externally accredited program called the AAT, the Association of Accounting Technicians. That became a flagship program for the MDI. And we have excelled in running that program for a number of years, and until now we are running it. Then there also came the ICM, also the Institute of Commercial Management courses, also another external accredited courses run with with UK examining body. So all these things came up as a result of the fact that the Gambia also is now producing so many graduates at senior secondary school. And with the establishment of the University of the Gambia also as the sole university at the time, they were not able to also absorb all of these people. So if we also did not venture into this area, there was going to be a crisis, because where will all these people go? So that naturally kind of led to the running of those programs, and more externally professional programs also came on board. So until 2024, when the National Assembly came up with the approval in terms of transforming 3 key public tertiary institutions into universities, so that they would be granting and awarding degree programs. And MDI was also part of that, those 3. So from there, from 2024 to now, we have been very busy in terms of pushing the agenda, working towards the transformation, setting up governance structures, developing curriculum, for degree programs. So just last Monday, all these things culminated in the the launching of the CSU, Civil Service University. And it was a grand program. You know, it was presided over by the Honorable Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Honorable Professor Per Gomez, whose ministry is our line ministry, and also Ministry of Public Service. So these two ministries are really, you know, guiding the former MDI, have been guiding the former MDI in terms of transiting into Civil Service University.
Okay.
So we had a grand program.
Okay.
On Monday.
So coming to Madam Ndaunjai, the transformation of MDI into a civil service university has been regarded as a major reform in the Gambia's education system. But what really changed, aside from the name change, what are we expecting? Are all the requirements been met to transform into a full-fledged university?
Thank you. And good morning to our viewers. Before I come to your question, I just want to add on to the programs that Mr. Silla talked about, where we have the AAT, externally examined programs. We also have our internal programs, 6 months then, certificate, diploma, advanced diploma. So at a point, we also deemed it fitting to review the curriculum. That was how we came up with the national diploma programs and the higher national diploma programs for all departments. Currently, that's what we have. So coming to your question, it's not just a name change. A university is expected to run degree programs. So under my leadership, in the diplomacy department, we know the transformation is a reality. So the team, we decided to come together and seek approval from the leadership of the institute, the provost, Alhaji Aliu K. Jaju. He gave us approval. We came together, brainstormed, and decided to come up with 2 degree programs. Not just programs, but to fill a gap, because we have a security sector in the country. There is no program. So the first one we designed was the Peace and Conflict Studies, degree in Peace and Conflict Studies. We also deemed it fitting to design the Diplomacy and International Relations. So under this department, we have 2 new programs. So as a result, it is not just about name change from MDI to Civil Service University. We are moving alongside the name change to start these degree programs. As I speak, the interviews are on. Just yesterday, we interviewed about more than 100 students for both programs, which means that alone is enough to tell you it's not just about name change. But we are moving alongside.
Yes. So we want to understand what are the criteria for students to be enrolled at the university.
Thank you. We have different criteria. That's the entry requirement. We have 3. One is the direct entry, where you need 5 credits, including English language. We also have the mature entry. At the Civil Service University, we cater for everyone. No one will be left out. So mature, you're expected to have 3 credits or 5 passes. Not only that, those in the civil service, public service, they've been in the system. They have the experience. But when we talk of these requirements, they don't have. So we are coming up, we've already come up with a program to prepare them. That is what we call the access program, pre-entry access program, so that they can also have the opportunity that they've been longing for to pursue their degree. And you know, what makes it different is that our programs are hands-on, very professional. You graduate, go out, and ready to serve in the market. Even with the current programs that we have, the national diploma, the higher national diploma, the feedback that we receive from employers is impressive, that they are doing extremely well. And that is what we intend to continue. We intend to have a public service, a civil service that is well trained, well guided in ethics, integrity, and professionalism.
So are you providing both graduate and postgraduate programs as well?
As I speak, we have the,
Thank you very much. Currently, from 2025, April 2025, we've also launched a graduate program called Master of Public Sector Management.
Okay.
We are running this jointly with the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GIMPA. The first cohort started in April. It's an 18-month program. And the second cohort also is being enrolled. They're sending in their applications, and hopefully by the 9th of April, we will close the application, and that we will go on with the interviews. It's a very, very good program because hitherto we had a lot of Gambians who were going to Ghana to pursue this program, because then it was funded by the African Capacity Building Foundation from 2006 up to 2017. Every year Gambia will file, will be allocated almost 7 slots scholarship to middle and senior government officials to pursue this program there. So the funding has phased out now, but shortly before it phased out, for us in the Gambia here, we put in every kind of effort to make sure that we bring the program home, so that we will continue to run it in collaboration with GIMPA, so that the people will not go now. The cost also is more reasonable here, and that in terms of all the issue of leaving your families here, going for 1.5 years or 1 year, all those things don't arise now. So it's the program is very popular. A lot of people are subscribing to the program, and we have very good faculty also that are taking care of it. But I just want to add to Mrs. Ndau's elaboration also with regards to the name. If you hear Civil Service University, it's not only for civil servants.
Look, that is what I wanted to ask.
It's not for civil servants alone. It's for everyone. Public sector, private sector, non-governmental organization, everyone. We have programs. In fact, the Department of Diplomacy and International Relations were able to, start the process by, coming up with developing a curriculum for these 2 bachelor's programs. But other departments also are, preparing themselves now to come up with other programs such as ICT, bachelors in ICT-related areas, business administration, accountancy, gender and development, human resources, a whole banking and finance, a whole lot of degree programs, entrepreneurship. So
it's
all
important.
This is not for this is not only for civil servants. It's for everyone. It's for everyone.
So one of the goals of the training, based on the launching ceremony, was that is to align the civil service competency needs. So in that case, how will the university ensure that the curriculums are not outdated and overly theoretical? As we know, conflict resolutions, diplomacy, international relations, these are practical fields.
And you see, that is why I told you that it's going to be hands-on and very professional. When we were developing the curriculum, we conducted a survey to also get information on the needs, what we need most. So some of the models are practical based, and we will be reviewing from time to time to be abreast with the realities globally.
So in that case, in terms of the, you did mention the issue of qualification as well, which I think is very, very important, but how about internships programs have, as part of this degree program, has that been factored in?
Yes, you know, it's a 4-year degree program. So in the final year, you have to do a research, independent work that will also help on policy, to provide policy recommendations for government or any other institution. So what we planned, what is in the curriculum is you'll have internship opportunity, 3 months. So wherever you go, they may decide to renew it after 3 months. Then you'll also use the other 6 months to work on your independent research. Yes.
So is there going to be a partnership with international universities?
Yes.
Yes, of course, like I highlighted, we are currently having an MOU with the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration. This is a very, prestigious university in Ghana. It was established in 1961. Also, it was an MDI, also transformed into a university in 2000. From 1961, it has just been providing the traditional role of an MDI until 2000, when it was transformed into a university. So you see, we are getting mentorship from them in terms of this MOU that we are having. The collaboration is very, very genuine and is very, very fruitful. So we are going to also have, as we progress also, we are going to have a number of, collaborations with other sister universities, because we have to learn from each other. We have to also learn how they have progressed, especially in relation to JIMPA, how they have moved from an MDI into a university. We are learning from, we have been learning from them, and we continue to learn from them. And we are also collaborating with other sister institutions in the sub-region. The Administrative Staff College of Nigeria, is also another very, very, important, MDI in the sub-region. And we will continue to expand our networks in terms of our partnerships.
So transformation. Now, what will happen to the staff of?
Can I just add on?
Yes.
Because we also have collaboration with ENA.
Yes.
In Senegal. And when you talk of diplomacy, Geneva is the center.
Yes.
We have signed MOU. The department has signed MOU with the Geneva School of Diplomacy.
Okay.
And in fact, we have benchmarked some of our models with what they do.
Very good.
And students will also have the opportunity to visit Geneva. Yes.
Okay.
In
so
the schools.
The staff, the current staff, will they be retained or will they be trained? Because it's now a university, it's not the usual
Of course,
operation.
Yeah, thank you very much for asking that question. This is an elaborate effort, and that you just don't jump on getting yourself transformed.
Yeah.
You have to be highly prepared.
Okay.
In terms of the preparation, of course, at the moment, as far as the former MDI was concerned, we have a number of people with first degree, master's degrees. But in terms of the terminal degrees, currently we are having 5 of our staff who are pursuing PhDs, and that we also rely also on the external, the industry also, to get adjunct lecturers also. So as we progress, a lot of staff will be sent for their masters. Those who do not have masters will be sent for masters, and those who do not have PhDs also will proceed on their PhDs also.
So let's talk about the facility, the capacity. Is it upgraded, or are we still going to use the same structures?
We think if you watch the inauguration unveiling, it was clearly stated by the Honorable Minister that the UTG, they are moving to Faraba. So when they move, all that campus will be for the Civil Service University. It will be renovated and we'll have enough space. Coming back to the staff, training and all that, you see, I have my master's, double master's, but I have started my PhD. So right now I am a PhD candidate. Yes. So we are also focusing on that, because when you transform, the faculty is important. So that is something that we are considering very well.
And alongside the current facilities also, we have also come up with a strategic plan from 2026 to 2030. And you know, some very critical elements in the strategic plan here, you know, relate to facilities.
Okay.
And you know, as we begin to get our budget for the strategic plan, a lot of facilities will be renovated, and more new facilities also will be built. And all these issues of training, staff training, all of them are factored in the strategy.
I wanted to ask, I mean, the issues of funding. I mean,
and sustainability.
Is the institution prepared? Because now when you talk about funding, or you mention upgrade, I mean, the institution will tell you financial constraints.
Exactly.
You understand? So, and it's not going to be an easy one as well. So, are you prepared for that financial burden as well?
Yes, we are prepared, because the line ministry that we have, that is the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, and the Ministry of Public Service. These are very passionate about the cost of this new civil service university. They want to give up all their support in terms of getting the necessary funding for the realization of all these things that we are talking about, facilities, you know, training of staff and other things. So alongside that also, the government of the Gambia also, through the office of the president also, they are also very, very, you know, particular and interested in the new civil service university. So together with all the little funding that will also be generating alongside, I think you know, this university is here to stay. It is here to stay. And on that note also, I would like to also, on behalf of the management and, you know, council of the Civil Service University, to express our heartfelt appreciation to the efforts of the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, led by their minister, Professor Per Gomez. He is so passionate. The ministry is so passionate, but under his dynamic leadership also, I think he is so passionate about Civil Service University. Every step of the journey, he is part and parcel of it. So
well, a country will never move if the civil service is not well molded and trained.
Exactly.
You know, so I think it's important for all hands to be on deck to make sure this happens in this country.
And our leadership also, to the leadership of the Civil Service University, the provost, the deputy provost, and the entire management and the governing council, we say thank you to all of them. And all of you also, even at the level of QTV.
Thank you.
Because your role, your efforts in terms of providing visibility for this new CSU, my friend, we all know about it and we appreciate it.
Yes, and you will be seeing a lot of our staff there as well.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Konate, for coming, and Pulon Daunjai. We've exhausted this segment. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you.
I mean, let's head to the last segment of this program, and in the studio we have Dr. Habibatu Drame, Minister of Basic and Secondary Education, and we are about to talk about a very significant topic. I've seen on our PTA group, I mean, some of the teachers sending the press release from the ministry, and one of the teachers said, but it's not signed. And I was like, even if it's not signed, this is from the ministry. So don't worry about it. Yeah, so we'll be talking about, I mean, halting graduation ceremonies for nursery and primary schools. You know, most parents talked about this previously, that, you know, graduations, you know, sometimes create a lot of financial burden on them, especially when you have 2-3 kids that are supposed to graduate. So this is a very significant topic, and we have the minister already. Good morning, doctor. It's good to have you.
Thank you. Good morning, Brother Ibrahim and my sister Jilde. It's a pleasure, really, to be here this morning.
Yes. So we will delve into the topic straight. I mean, why did the ministry come up with this, I mean, step to halt all graduation ceremonies?
Not to halt all graduation ceremonies. I mean, it's important and critical that through the reforms that the ministry has embarked on to not only strengthen the system, but also to look around in terms of the activities that the ministry does to ensure that they align with the mandate of the sector, and ultimately to ensure that the efforts support the delivery of quality teaching and learning. So during my school visitations, I had engagements not only with the school authorities, I also engaged parents, and in some cases students, just to have a general feel of the perspectives of the people. And it came out very clearly that certain activities within, or that the schools are undertaking, have been troublesome. I mean, in terms of finance, it has been burdensome to families, to guardians, and then I did a thorough reflection on this, and I realized that some of the graduations, especially the nursery and the primary school graduations, eventually became a innovation. They are part of the innovations that the ministry, see itself getting into, maybe because in other jurisdictions we see that even a child as as low as at that level is given the opportunity to celebrate at a certain point in their school life that they have completed. Yeah, but when we did the assessment and the review, we wanted to see whether this innovation is adding value, and we realized that it is burdensome, really, to families and to guardians, because it involves cost and a lot of preparations and the excitement. So we want to redirect that effort to enhancing teaching and learning at the lower levels. And the directive came out. So it came from the ministry's official Facebook page, so meaning it is coming from us, and we indulge all school authorities, especially at the level of the nursery, the ECDs, and the lower basic, the primary level, to abide by the regulation and focus more in the teaching and learning so that we can enhance quality. We are doing a lot in this regard. We are embarking on a lot of reforms and checks, monitoring, just to ensure that the quality and glory that the ministry in the past is known for is restored. And hopefully with the involvement of all educators, administrators, and parents, we are able to get along a very, very promising trajectory. And this is now the journey that we are calling on every stakeholder of education to participate, so that we can bring about glory and success in the learning outcomes of every child, especially at the lower levels.
So some schools argue that events like this actually encourage and build confidence and public speaking skills among students. In that case, what other initiative is the ministry coming up with to replace this one?
I mean, public speaking events can be organized in several forms. I mean, you don't only expect a child to demonstrate skills of public speaking during graduation. So it is part of the activities that the schools are doing to be innovative. So like this one is an innovation, but we realize that it's more of a burden than it has come to add value to the education. So we encourage schools to be very, very innovative, but in a way that that the innovation is able to add really value to the school. So we can embark on other activities that can help the child to strengthen their public speaking abilities without necessarily organizing a graduation ceremony. You know, the olden practice of speech and prize giving. People were so amazed and proud of those events, when they are coming, because we can see that that is where mostly the best students are recognized, and awarded to boost their morals, and also to encourage other students to emulate from these youngsters. And we are happy to support our schools in this regard, to ensure that we regularly have the speeches and prize giving, and let them be moderate, because we have to realize that as a people, you know, it's nice to cut your coat according to your size. You don't really have to get into what will, at the end of the day, be troublesome. Maybe not to you as the provider of the services, but you know, the beneficiaries. That is not the intention of early childhood education or basic and secondary education generally.
Well, you see, even graduations at that tender age, you know, at that early stage, you know, tend to change the meaning of graduation.
Exactly.
You know, the graduations we used to know, it's maybe you go from grade 12, you know, after your WAS exams, then you're going to university, then you graduate, and you know, but now it's really changing. Does this apply to both private and public schools?
Across the board, including the madrasas, and we want to be very clear about this. Public schools, private schools recognize madrasas.
Okay.
These are all part of the directive. So we don't want any public, private or madrasa in this country to conduct graduation for its ECD or primary school. And it is across the country. So let's put more effort, like I said, in the teaching and learning. And we have done a lot of work in the sector assessing school performances. We know the schools that are doing well. We know the schools that are poor performers, and we will get to all of them one by one. And we are going to be very serious about it. So I want to, on public space, make it very clear that school principals and school authorities should tighten up or step up, because engagements will commence very soon, especially for the poor performing schools. Everyone has to step up. We have to provide these services in the best way possible. If there are gaps or challenges, we need to know as a sector. And within the private schools, there wouldn't be excuses because they're collecting monies from parents, from the students. So the services must be provided in the best way to ensure that quality of learning is provided within the basic and secondary education.
So in that case, what efforts is the ministry putting in place to ensure that there is consistent enforcement? Because we know that we come up with all these directive legislations, but enforcement becomes a challenge for most government institutions.
Yes, so far all the directives from the sector, if you can recall several, especially between 2025 to now, and all of them are being abided by. When we directed that we don't want musicians whose music are vulgar in the schools, you no longer see any school entertain music that is vulgar. When we said that we don't want to see any of our students in uniform along the streets carrying placards or papers asking for donation, I don't think we have seen any child, you know, from a school been sent by school authorities to go out begging. So the compliance is happening, and we are very happy, and we want to appreciate and thank the school authorities, because we are very, very serious about the press statements that we release from the sector. Like I said, we all have to, I keep telling our colleagues in the ministry, we all have to take our responsibility. Ministry will do its role, play its role. The community will play its role. Parents will play their role, and the schools will play their role. Ultimately, we need everyone to be able.
Are there simple approved alternatives for these primary schools and ECDs? Because some private schools will tell you, we don't have subvention from the government. And these are the things that we use to
make
at
money.
least put
It's a money-making
Have
adventure.
you considered that as well, Honorable Minister?
Yeah, you call them private schools. And the private schools, they charge fees. They collect fees from the students. And it is true that those fees that they use to do the running of the school. So you don't expect government to subsidize or give a subvention to a fee-paying school. Basic and secondary education is free, and that is why the private schools that hand themselves over to the ministry to take the day-to-day running of the school, at the end of the day, are subvented fully, including the payment of even the teachers, salaries of the teachers, and the running of the schools generally. So we have, for example, the mission schools, like the Ahmadiyya mission schools. We have also the Methodist, some of the Methodists or the Catholic missions. Some of the schools have been handed over to government, and they are fully subvented, so meaning government supports them fully in terms of the running of the school, as well as paying the salaries of the teachers. So if a school decides not to collect any fees from students, yes, of course, government can support it.
How would you respond to concerns that parents are having that a lot of these public schools force students to stay for studies after school, and then they ask them to pay a huge amount of money for that?
Yeah, that's not acceptable. It has not come to us. Yes, studies are alternate. This is alternative. I mean, it's not compulsory for any child to remain in school and be given extra classes. So if it is arranged, it would be between the parents and the school or the teachers or the school authorities. It's arranged on a private level. It's up to the parents and the teachers, but no school or teacher should force a child to pay fees for studies. So that also should be very clear, that the ministry does not entertain it. Only at their own personal levels they can arrange that. It cannot be official, and it cannot be a force on the students or the parents.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Honorable Minister, what will happen to a school that refuses to follow, these directives?
We will deal with you, ultimately. And I know everyone will comply, because the consequences are grave. The consequences are grave. And we are happy that since we began with the strict rules, everyone has been compliant.
So how far have you gone with the national language policy?
Very well. Very well and very smoothly. The policy has now received cabinet approval. The pilots are ongoing, and they are very impressive. And I just want to say also clearly that the policy is not here to teach any child a local language. We have to be clear about this. You see, two things are involved in education, especially at the early stages of education. A child of 3 years, 4 years comes to school without knowing much. And education is to allow a child to experience and go through things to understand. So two things are involved. They have to be taught in a language, and also they have to be taught concepts. So these two things, you're teaching a child in a language that they don't understand. So they have to struggle to understand the language first. And you're also teaching them concepts, ideas and things. They have to also take effort and time to understand these concepts, ideas and things. So what we have come to support here is to say, okay, these two things that are involved in education, that is understanding the language that you have been taught in, and also understanding what you have been taught, the concepts that you have been taught. So if you are taught in the concept in a language that you understand. It eases the entire process of education. Okay, you come to school and they speak to you in Wolof because you understand Wolof. So I'm not teaching you Wolof. I'm speaking to you in Wolof because I know that is the language you understand. And then I teach you the concept. So you now have just little effort to understand the concepts. Because already you know it in the language. If I tell you in Wolof, Li Motola, if I should ask you, if, for example, it's a story that we learn in the class in Wolof, if I should come back and ask you in Wolof, you can easily respond and answer the questions. So, but if I teach you something in English, and you never learned English, you have to understand English first then understand the concept. So it's complicated. And that's why research has shown that systems that teach their students in the languages that they understand, they tend to succeed very easily, because you just need little effort. in the learning process, definitely, you know, to succeed. And that is the kind of model we are trying to adapt and contextualize it to our reality, so we know the different realities we have here as a country. And this is why the school mappings were done, just to understand. In every region, the languages that the students are conversant with, that they're comfortable with, then we use those languages in the different schools based on also the level of understanding of the child in each school, and teach it in the early stages. But you have to also remember that students will be taught English. So English will be taught in the schools. It's just what we are doing is just to support the general teaching and learning, and to ensure that we are able to improve the learning outcomes, which have been poor over time.
Well, I think it will be important, I mean, because most students, I mean, expressing themselves. Sometimes some people are unwilling to express themselves in the English language, but once it's local language, they should be able to express themselves. So parents would be like, okay, my kids will we speak Wolof at home every day, so I don't think it's necessary for our kids to be taught in Wolof.
Exactly.
I mean, but
I personally think it's a good policy, because a lot of these schools, you see students cramming examination, but they don't understand the concepts. They just read to cram, then come and deliver on the exam day. And once that is done, when you ask them even a single question about that, they will not be able to tell you. Because then the concepts were not understood, rather they crammed it, and that becomes a very big challenge.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, also it just supports, just to reiterate what you said, Ibrahim, confidence. You see, the reason why some of us, when we were young, we weren't speaking in classics because you were afraid of making mistakes.
I was a very shy type.
Yes, you were afraid of making mistakes because you wouldn't want the class to laugh. And I remember also, you know, in those days, vernacular used to be avoided. I mean, it used to be a no-go area, like even pasted on, you know, around the school to say, no vernacular, you don't speak. And you can realize that sometimes a teacher in the class teaches and wants you to understand, but the teacher knows that you don't understand. And sometimes they will just say it in Mandinka or Wolof. But in those days, it was not allowed, and we were all trying to avoid it. But now, we are saying now it's allowed. You speak to a child in English, and you say it many times, and they don't understand. Now, as a policy, it's allowed. You can now say it in language that they understand, and then pick it up from there. So through it also, they will learn the English language, just like everywhere in the world. You have different languages that are taught in the schools, and people are conversant with the languages very well. We just need to do more in that area, support the teachers, you know, so that we can be more firm in the teaching and learning. And I think if we are very serious, definitely, as a country, we should be able to succeed, and we will, inshallah, because we are ready to do a lot of monitoring. The school heads, I want to indulge them to be very, very, how do you call it, attentive, and to ensure that the regular monitoring, especially of teachers, are carried out in the school, so that the teaching and learning are happening. We don't want teachers to be abandoning their classes, going to attend, you know, school. We are not saying teachers should not improve themselves. But sometimes, you know, they do this without our knowledge, and therefore we are not able to, you know, support them in terms of the timing, so that they can go for the classes and also do their teaching in the schools appropriately. So we want to discourage that. Any teacher that wants to upgrade themselves, they have to do this through their schools, their regional offices, and the headquarters, so that we are able to definitely support them. If they should go on the study leave, that will be granted. If they should be allowed some flexible time, you know, all those things could be arranged, so that the school does not suffer, and their learning too does not suffer.
So we can also talk about students going around begging. I mean, for donation. You know, we've seen a couple of them, you know. I have seen, you know, some of them going around with papers, you know, but mostly
Even
from the
after
madrasa.
Oh, okay.
Mostly from the madrasa. You know, I think the ministry also needs to pay attention to that.
Yes, in fact, the one that came to my attention, and you know, I was very shocked by the comments of some people on social media telling us that that we have been one-sided, accusing, and we didn't accuse anyone. When the press statement was released, it was across the board, but of course we had to reference the reasons why the press statement was released. Actually, I was sent video of students from a madrasa along the beach side. Can you imagine? Along the beach side, you know, and you know, that was really bad because some of them will approach, you know, the tourists. That was really, really bad. In uniform. And some of the girls had their veils on. And the pictures we're taking, a video of the children we are taking, and even the paper that they were holding, the name of the madrasa was also provided. So, yes, we indulge the madrasas. We are saying if the madrasa wants donation, let the madrasa authorities themselves
go,
you know, walk around and go look for the donations. No child, no school child should be used in the process to seek for donations on the streets. And if this is happening and we find out, we will deal with the madrasa authorities. And we are very serious about this. So we want the public to be vigilant and madrasa owners to be vigilant, especially if the child is in uniform. We don't entertain it. If the child is in uniform, they are representing the ministry. And that's why emphasis is put on that. As a country, we don't have the laws to ban children generally begging on the streets. So we may not be able to implement such a regulation or such a rule. But if they are in uniform, they are representing us.
You know, I think we need to make something clear too. Even the madrasas are under your ministry, right?
Yes, yes.
So when you talk about the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, the mental picture that people have, it's just the
public school, conventional
schools that we have. But I think it's important for us to make this very clear to the public. We've exhausted this time too.
Oh, we have.
Yes, thank you very much, Doctor, for coming. Thank you very much. And, you know, we hope and pray you know, things will go according to plan.
Inshallah.
Yes. Viewers, this is all we have. We'll be back here on Tuesday for another edition of QTV This Morning, and wishing our Christian brothers and sisters a good Friday. And, you know, until then, bye-bye.